I believe, the 21st of Shvat, happens to be Achaf Aleph Shvat, marks the Hilula of a great rabbi. His name was Rab Natan Shapiro Yerushalmi. He was a famous Kabbalist. Now, usually in the series, we are concentrating on rabbis from the Edut Mizrach, from the Oriental countries himself and the Spanish countries. But over here, he was very much connected to many of the Oriental Rabbanim and very much was living inside that part of the section in a long time in Jerusalem and also in Italy, respectively. So let's explore some of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. I'm not too sure exactly he was born over here. But I think he came from great heritage. I think his father's name was Reuven David, and David Shapiro. Yeah, I'm not too sure exact date when he was born. The actual Chida actually mentions him as a Rab Anasi, Rab Natan Shapiro, really, really highest compliment. Now, he was born in an area called Korkov, I believe, in Poland. This was the second largest city of that, and he would pass in Reggio in Italy. Remember that place had a great Torah community in of its day of itself. So I believe he'll become a great rabbi. He'll become a judge, Kabbalist. He'll be a Shluchei Rabbanan, representing Jerusalem, I think the Ashkenazic community in Jerusalem, and travel all over Europe. So he was spent his early years, obviously, in Poland. At some point, he would actually end up in Jerusalem, the holy city over there. Remember, I think the vast majority of Jewish people over there at that stage in time was of Sephardic background in of itself. But he was sent, I think, from the Ashkenazic community that was living in Jerusalem at that point in time. He would travel to Italy, over there to Holland, the Netherlands, and to various other places, I think in Ashkenazi countries in Eastern Europe in itself, and will really much inject Torah inside those different vicinities. And also at the same time will raise funds to bring back to Jerusalem to improve the life of the people in Jerusalem respectively. I think this mission he would take would be done in the year 1655, if I'm not mistaken, where he will actually set out to all these different countries and meet many of the great rabbis over there. And it's actually interesting. I think his last 10 years of his life, he would actually live in Italy until he passed away. Now, for example, there's a great book called the Ginat V'Radim of Rabbi Abraham Halevi, who happened to be a great rabbi of that day, a great Egyptian rabbi. He is mentioned, it's actually said that the rabbis of Jerusalem permitted him to take another wife in addition to his first wife, with the signature of 100 rabbis, it was reported, over. And I believe he would live in the courtyard where the Sephardic synagogue actually was in. That's a very, very interesting thing. Especially when he represented, let's say, the Jerusalem community and went all over Europe, I think it's reported over he would spend some time with a famous rabbi, Rabbi Moshe Zachut, and he was a famous Jewish rabbi, famous Kabbalist, a poet of Portuguese origin, and a descendant of the famous Zachut family that came from Portugal to the Netherlands after the expulsion, which very much reported over. He would meet him in Venice in Italy over there. And I believe that they kept a very, very close, let's just say, relationship with regards to learning and touring. And I think over there he would actually publish some books while he would actually spend time in Venice. Remember, in Italy, had a huge printing press where there was a lot of books being printed at that point in time. So there was, I think there was a book called the Tov Haaretz, for example. It was printed in Venice, I think in the year 1655. I think the first part of the book in of itself deals with, I'll say in Hebrew, Osek bebirur ma'alta shel haaretz u'ma'alat ha'megarim ba. Very interesting enough. And many of it was written, I think it was founded on like the teachings, if I'm not mistaken, of Harizal, Rabbi Uriah Luria Ashkenazi, and his student, Ariya Kodesh's student, Rabbi Chaim Vital. Also based on the famous Torah of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero and Rabbi Avram Azulay. These are all great rabbis. I think we just did a fortnight ago, covered a video on the great Rabbi Avram Azulay, who happened to believe that was a great-great-grandfather or great-grandfather of the Kiddah, respectively. And very much his writing was central on those great rabbanim in of itself, and we actually covered a video on all these great rabbis. I believe he edited the writings of the Ari, which was written by Rabbi Chaim Vital, in parallel, let's just say, with the editing style by his contemporary Rabbi Meir Paparush. He's a rabbi I think we've mentioned about on various occasions before. He was a famous, let's just say, Kabbalist who was involved in spreading the teachings of the Arizal and Rabbi Chaim Vital, respectively. I think the first part was called the Me'orot Natan, which was printed in the pre-Etz Chaim. I think that was actually printed in Koritz, interesting enough, in the year 1882. And the second part was the book, the Me'orot Natan, very interesting enough. I think that was published I'm not sure the exact date on the other one. Or the Sefer HaKavanot in of itself. Now, his father, Rabbi Reuven David Shapiro, was an excellent, let's say, דיין in Krakow. His uncle was Rabbi Natan Netta Shapiro, was famous. He was also very famous. His two daughters married Rabbi Yechiel and Rabbi Netanel Pua. Very interesting. Who are great rabbis, I believe, in Regio, in that specific area in of itself, which we've mentioned about on various occasions before. In the Regia area, it's I think it's very interesting. We should maybe speak about that specific area in a separate video. Maybe dedicate a video to the Reggio community in Italy in of itself. Now, let's just explore some more of the teachings within regards to his books. The Tova Aretz was printed, as we said before, around the 1650s in of itself, and was in various different parts. And there were other great teachings which he had in a published book, the Yain HaMushumar, which was Al Shtiyat Stam Yainim in of itself, which I think was printed in 1659. The Matzat Shmorim, which is biur on the, let's say, the Sod Mitzvot Mezuzah and Tfilin and Birkat Shachar in of itself. That was printed in 1659. Hagaot al Sever Otzrot Chayim, and Free Etz Chaim, as we mentioned before, and the Kavanat Ari, which was printed in 1781, way after I believe he passed away. Then the Torah Natan was printed, I believe, in 1893. And the Perushal Gadai wrote an explanation on the Haggadah, which we say on Leila Seder in of itself, which was and the Drashot there was which was a manuscript and very much within regards to intentions of Kriyat Shema in of itself. Now it's his Hilula here on Chaf Aleph Shvat. Please don't forget to light candles in memory. I'm not too sure on the exact date he was born and the exact year he passed away. I believe it was around maybe 1667, but I'll have to double check that also. One of the great Italian rabbis, without doubt, of his time, and most famously, Italian rabbi from European descent in of itself. We've concentrated on a lot of great European rabbis on this series, but most of them have been from Spanish descent or from the Sephardic country. So it's actually a change over here to actually concentrate on rabbi of Ashkenazic descent, but very much had an integral part in the Sephardic world in of itself, a huge part over there in of itself. Now it's actually interesting. I think it was buried in Berejo in Amila in of itself. And we said before that one of his khatans was Rav Natanel Pua, who was a very, very great rabbi of his time. The Pua family, I think, in of itself, was a great rabbinic dynasty, which hopefully we can. There were many great people that they had a printing house in of itself and printed many, many books inside that specific point in time, especially were a great Italian family in of itself. So wishing you all well. And please don't forget to light candles in his memory and subscribe to the channel. If you happen to be related to any of these great rabbinim, please send me an email. I'd love to hear more. So wishing you well, take care, and Shabbat Shalom.